Hello friends, today we'll be talking about a very important concept or the trend which is going on is about the work culture. Now work culture has different names: workplace culture, organization culture, company culture. We would be referring all these terms as work culture. Now the companies have to impress their employees, okay, by having a good retention rate, by having a very high employee productivity, satisfaction levels, and all of this will only come to an employer or a company when they have a very strong work culture in place. Now, when I talk about work culture is basically defined as the rules and regulations, practices, policies, rituals, values, beliefs, all of that when put together in a company's working profile, it is known as a work culture. Now, the businesses in India have a very different work culture as across the globe. Now, in India, the work culture is highly influenced by the belief, the values, the religion, all of this, where it basically comes from. Also, the region where the company is being started. So, it is very important to have a very strong work culture. Now, if you have a bad or a poor work culture, it automatically reflects. It reflects on the way people or your employees behave. The absenteeism, the productivity level, the stress level, the poor health, all these things are a byproduct of a poor work culture in an organization. So therefore, every organization has to work immensely hard in order to achieve a good culture, not only which is beneficial to the company, but also to the employees working in an organization. And they also have to understand that if they invest towards the people of the company, they will get the best out of them. But like it is not a one-way relationship. Work culture is a two-way relationship which both the employee and the employer have to participate in. Now, when I talk about a two-way relationship, I mean to say it is a clap which can only be done when two hands come together. So you can only clap when you have two hands coming together and wanting to clap. So work culture will only become a strong culture, a strong way, only and only when both employees and employer decide that how they want to actively participate and get the best out of it. Now, there are two aspects of work culture. One is a culture creation and the second one is a culture maintenance. Now, the culture creation is a part of the employer or the one who starts the company. Now, it is based on two important concepts: the founder's values and prepositions, okay, and the industry demands. When both of these things are clubbed together, what we basically get is an early value of the company policies, rules, regulations, goals and objectives. Now, these things need to be passed on to the employees, which is actually the culture maintenance, which is a part of the employee point of view. Now, over here, the company or the organization culture will turn out to be good or bad when four important parts are looked into the picture. Now, if all these four parts have a positive effect, automatically it will reflect a positive work culture in an organization. Now, the first one is obviously the retention rate. How much an employee is sticking to that company, A. Second, how attractive is that company for the people outside to wanting to be a part as an employee. The second thing is, if the new employee is onboarding, how happy, how active, how good he feels or positive he feels when he or she joins the company. The third one is a leadership. It is basically the role of the senior management. How well they manage each of their employees, how well they manage the work, the policies, the health, everything positively. And finally, the reward system in today's world. It is very, very important. If you have a good reward system in place, the retention rate, the absenteeism, everything will be positive. Now let's understand this work culture initially from employee point of view, now and then later on from the employer point of view. Now, when I'm talking about the employee point of view, I basically mean only one thing. I'm talking about both employees who are working inside the organization and the sales team who work outside the organization on fields. Each one of them have to be very strong in how they maintain or how they take this work culture as. Each one of them has a very active participation irrespective they are working in the company or they're working from outside the company, because each one of them have a very important role to play. If the sales team do not give them the results, the back-end team will not be able to maintain them. If the sales team is not doing sales, obviously the back-end team will not be able to generate or get best out of those sales which are being given. So it is very important. Now over here, I'm focusing more on the sales teams because they are the ones who are actually outside the organization. They are the ones who are representing the organization and the culture of the organization in real terms on daily basis to the world outside. The people working inside the organization obviously have to maintain decorum, and they do themselves maintain a decorum because of any reasons, strictness or maybe the fear, or could be because of their own values. It can be any reason, but the people working in the company, they do maintain the organization culture. They try to maintain the best they can. But very important is for those people who represent the company outside. Now, few things from the employee perspective, how the work culture needs to be maintained is, first, when you move outside the organization for your sales or for your meeting or for anything, make sure you do your research well. Now, here I'm not talking about a demand and sales and demand and supply research. I'm talking about research in terms of which employee are you going to go meet, which organization's employee are you meeting. Is it a personal employee are you meeting? Is it a person who's an individual who you are meeting? You have to do some background study. You need to know about their industry very well. More importantly, you need to know about your industry and your company very well. You cannot go outside into the company without knowing what your company's objectives and mission and visions are. You need to know what your goals have to be. I'm not talking about monthly targets. I'm talking about the major or the bigger picture, which is the objective of the company or the team that you're working for. Okay. The second one is you have to be proactive. Now, when I talk about being proactive, which means you take up some steps by yourself. You don't wait for your senior to instruct you to do a particular thing. You've been into this industry for a couple of years, so you exactly know what you have to do and what you don't have to do. You exactly know if this is a situation, what you have to take care of and what you don't have to take care of. You should be proactive immediately. You should know, you should set your own targets. You need to set your own objectives on a daily or a monthly basis. You need not wait for your senior to give you a target. Be realistic. The senior might give you a very high target sometimes. You as an individual, you need to evaluate very nicely and try reaching those targets. If a senior has underestimated at caliber, please redefine your targets for your own self, and that can only be done when you're proactive in your life. You need to stay transparent. Very, very important. Irrespective the person is working in the company or representing as a sales team outside the company. You have to be transparent. You're not to work, you're not there for work. You need to be very clear the reason why you're not there. You've done a mistake, admit you've done a mistake. If you're having a fun time with your colleagues during the office hour, please make sure if you're caught or if your senior happens to call you at that time, you are true to your senior. I always say, if they are the only one, it is very, very important to do that. Now, if suppose tomorrow you get a message from a client of yours,